So, a very good afternoon, everyone. Okay, hope you had your lunch. Let's have today's session on strength of materials with the subject code 18CV32. Okay, so let's quickly check out the things which we have covered in the previous class. See, in the previous session, we have learned temperature stress, right? So, we have learned how to calculate temperature stress on a single bar. Okay, and we have also solved numerical examples related to temperature stress, right? We have come across some definitions like coefficient of linear expansion alpha, right? And we got to know the formula for deformation due to the temperature, right? That is alpha TL. And we have also calculated stress because of which is generated because of the thermal stresses. Okay, so let's check in today's class what are the topic level objectives of today's session. So today we'll continue the same session, that is thermal stresses itself. Okay, but the thing is, today we shall concentrate more on compound bars. Okay, thermal stresses on the compound bars. In the previous session, we have taken temperature stresses on a single bar. Okay, so a single bar was subjected to temperature stress when we have calculated stresses, deformations, and so on, right? So now we shall check out numerical examples on compound bars subjected to temperature stress. So how both them or two or more materials behave when temperature stress acts on it, right? So that's the main objective of today's class. So let me refresh the concept once again, what we have learned in yesterday's class, thermal stress, right? So we know that material will expand or contract depending on the material's thermal expansion coefficient. So every material has its own coefficient of linear expansion. So depending on that, when you increase the temperature, it increases the deformation, increases the length, and when you decrease the temperature, the shortening occurs, right? So it depends on the coefficient of linear expansion, right? And we have seen an example like when a bar is held, when a bar is free, when you increase the temperature, the deformation increases, but the temperature stresses will not be generated because we have not restricted it, right? So when you give a restriction, when you give a fixed support, right? I had given you an example of cricket, hope you remember that, right? So when someone restricts you, so when someone opposes you to do something, then naturally the tendency is the stress starts generating, right? So that same concept you can apply it here. So when you have a rigid unyielding support, now that means uh, I'm giving an opposition for the extension or shortening. So then automatically the thermal stresses starts generating. Similarly, when you reduce the temperature, the tensile stresses starts developing. When you increase the temperature, compressive stresses starts generating, right? So this was the things which we have covered in the previous session. So let's check out temperature stresses in the composite bar. See, you can apply the same procedures what we have applied in the previous class. The only difference is here you have two materials. In previous session you had only one material. Okay, so that's the only difference now. So as it is, see, a composite bar is made up of two bars of different material, preferably joined together so that during temperature change, both the bars expand or contract by the same amount. Okay, so when the two materials are held in position now, okay, as you can see in this picture, and the temperature has been changed. So when the temperature is changed, okay, both the materials either they expand or contract by the but by the same amount. So this is very important concept, they expand or contract by the same amount. Okay, now since the coefficient of expansion of the two bars is different, so when I say the material is different, obviously the coefficient of thermal expansion should be different, right? So when this is different, okay, thermal stresses are developed in different thermal stresses are developed in both the bars. Okay, so when both the materials has different coefficient of thermal expansion, then both the materials has different thermal stresses, right? Now, consider a composite bar as shown in the figure of two different material. Okay, so the top bar is material 1, the bottom bar is material 2. And for these particular material, see, you can just observe the length for both the material L remains same. Okay, now for first material, I have taken Young's modulus as E1 and coefficient of thermal expansion as alpha 1. Now similarly for the material 2, I have taken Young's modulus as E2 and coefficient of thermal expansion as alpha 2, right? Now with this concept, let the temperature of the bar is raised by delta T. Let's say that initial temperature is T1 and the final temperature is T2. Now that means I am raising a temperature by T2 minus T1. So let's assume that delta T is a change in temperature, or you can say it as simply T, or you can take it as T2 minus T1, right? So now next what happens when you raise the temperature, right? So as I said, both the material will expand or contract. It depends, right? Now as you can see in this picture clearly, initial length is L. After the change in temperature, the first material, you can see this direction, the first material, because of the uh, increase in temperature, the deformation occurred is alpha delta TL. So hope you remember the formula which we have learned yesterday. Deformation due to temperature raise, it is alpha TL or alpha delta TL, one and the same. So first material, I have just observed the direction. Please concentrate on the arrow direction. That's very important here in this particular diagram. Okay. So in the first picture, it is alpha delta TL. Now similarly, and maybe in this case, as it has already been mentioned in the slide, alpha 1 is greater than alpha 2, right? What is alpha? Alpha is basically coefficient of thermal expansion. Now in this case, alpha 1 is greater than alpha 2 means, since alpha 1 is greater for material 1, when I increase the temperature, now alpha, because of higher amount of alpha 1, the deformation will be higher in bar 1 compared to bar 2. I'll repeat, since alpha 1 is greater than alpha 2, the deformation due to temperature, raise in temperature, will be higher in material 1 compared to the material 2. And that's why for the material 1, you can see that the arrow direction has been increased here, alpha 1 delta TL. Similarly, for material 2, you can see I have slightly shortened it. So, and I have taken it as alpha 2 delta TL. Okay. Now, this has extended more. First material has extended more. Second material has extended less. Now, but we said that both they expand or contract by the same amount, right? Now, to maintain this, what I'll do, I'll simply draw a line, equilibrium line in between the two extensions. Okay. So now this is my equilibrium line in between the two extension. Now to meet the same deformation in both the materials, what has to be taken? What should be done? Now in that case, to get the equilibrium line for the material 1, I should apply a compressive force from the top, as you can see here. Similarly, for the bottom, to get this to the equilibrium line, I should apply a tensile force so that it will bring to the equilibrium position. Now that means for the material 1, I am applying a compressive force. For material 2, I am applying a tensile force. But do remember, since it is an equilibrium, both the side I am applying P. So the P for both the case, it remains same. Okay. So let me explain in a clear picture in my this slide. Okay. Let me explain it here. See, whatever I've explained now, I'll explain you the same thing in this cleared picture. See, this is a material 1, this is a material 2. Okay, I'll explain this once again. Material 1, observe the arrows carefully. Material 1, because of the increase in temperature, it has extended to alpha TL. So this is the alpha, either you can take delta T or T, one and the same. Alpha TL. Okay, now similarly, for the material 2, since alpha 2 is less for material 2, it has extended up to alpha 2 TL. So alpha 1 is greater in material 1. So that is why the extension has been shown higher here. Similarly for material 2, alpha 2 is less. So I have shown it up to here. Okay. Now, as I said, you should have an equilibrium condition. So xx, hope you can see this xx. Are you able to see this xx? Yes? Are you able to see this?
Ma'am. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
fine. Okay. So see, observe carefully. The first material has extended up to alpha 1 TL. Second material has extended up to alpha 2 TL. Okay, so this is the deformation due to temperature for material 1 and material 2. Now what I should do? Somehow I should make an equilibrium condition so that both the material will expand or contract to same amount. So for that purpose, this is all imaginary, okay? I'll introduce an imaginary equilibrium line, XX, in between both the material deformation, okay? So XX I have drawn now, okay? Now after drawing XX, okay? Now observe carefully, for the material 1, okay? For the material 1, to bring the last dotted line deformation to XX, what I should do? Whether I should apply a compressive force or a tensile force? I want to bring material 1, the last deformation to XX. So what should I do now? I should apply compressive force or tensile force?
Compressive.
Compressive force, very correct. So that is why in material 1 you can observe P1, I have applied it as a compressive force. Okay. Now similarly same procedure, apply it for material 2. Now for material 2, where is your alpha 2 TL? Just observe this. So it is very short amount, right? Alpha 2 TL is here. Now I should bring this alpha 2 TL to XX. What should I do now? I should apply, I want to bring this tensile force, very correct. So when I apply tensile force, the material extends and again it get back to XX, correct? So I have applied P1 compressive force for material 1, P2 tensile force for material 2. By doing so, okay, by doing so, both the materials are in the imaginary line XX now. Okay, so now I have brought it both the materials as XX, and observe carefully. See, it is I'm doing imaginary in the sense I'm not going against the laws now. Please do understand, I'm not going against the laws. I'm actually in law itself. Now that means P1 and P2. Okay, my assumption is again now, since it is in equilibrium, whatever P1 I apply, that P1 is equal to P2. Please understand this concept. Now that means I'm not doing anything to the material. It is all an imagination process. For equilibrium, I am applying P1 and I am applying P2. And P1 and P2, I say that both are equal. And when the force is equal and when it is in opposite direction, so what will be the effect of it? Can anyone tell me? Two forces equal in direction, equal in magnitude, opposite in direction. So what's the effect of it?
Equilibrium, ma'am.
Equilibrium, very correct. The effect gets
Equilibrium.
nullified. Correct? The effect is nullified. It is an equilibrium. Now that means I'm not doing anything to the member. It is just I'm maintaining a balance in both the members. Right? So P1 and P2 equal in amount and opposite in direction. But only thing is material 1 is tensile, compressive, material 2 is tensile. Okay. So now somehow I have brought both the materials to XX now. Now with this, I'll write the equations. Have you understood this diagram? Shall I go concentrate on the equations now?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Now another thing. Okay. See, let me tell you another, the very important concept. See, in this particular diagram, I should use deformation due to temperature as well as deformation due to axial load. Please understand my concept. I should use deformation due to temperature and deformation due to axial load. I'll tell you what it is. See, in the first picture, in the first material, okay, deformation due to temperature is alpha TL, correct? Next, another, after doing an equilibrium, I applied the compressive force P1. So I should bring this P1 up to the XX. Now that means delta L1 I should bring it here, correct? So understand this space, delta DL1 or delta L1. I should bring this P1 up to DL1. So here, to bring this P up to DL1, I'm not using any temperature here. It is simple deformation due to axial load. Is it not? Yes? Is it not DL1 is deformation due to axial load?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. It is simple deformation due to axial load. Alpha TL is deformation due to temperature. But whatever I am doing the procedure later for equilibrium, that procedure is purely deformation due to axial load. So there I can apply PL upon AE. Please do understand this concept. Okay. So let me explain you the equations now. See, as I said, concentrate when a compound bar is subjected to change in temperature, both the material will experience stresses in opposite nature. Okay, now that's what I said. One is tensile, one is compressive. Okay, next. Compressive force on material 1 will be equal to tensile force on material 2. That's why I said P1 is equal to P2. Alright, compressive force on material 1 should be equal to tensile force on material 2. Now, instead of taking P1, P2, I'll convert the force into stress. I'll convert the force into stress. How do I convert force into stress? Anybody? What did we define stress is equal to? Stress is
Load
equal
by
to
area.
load by area. Very correct. Stress is equal to
Yes.
load by area. Then what is load is equal to?
Stress equal to area into area, ma'am.
Stress into area. That's what. Very correct. So please do understand. Stress is equal to load by area. Now, I need an equation in terms of stress for load. So load is equal to stress into area. Right? Hope you have understood this. See, compressive force on material 1 is equal to tensile force on material 2. I can write this as, instead of writing P1 is equal to P2, I'll write it in terms of stress. P1 is nothing but sigma 1 into A1. Right? Because stress is load by area. Load is equal to stress into area. Sigma 1 A1 is equal to sigma 2 A2. Right? Sigma 1 A1 is equal to sigma 2 A2. Okay. Now I can write this equation is used in your numerical examples. Okay. Please do remember this. Sigma 1 A1 is equal to sigma 2 A2. So from this I can take either you can take sigma 1 outside or sigma 2 outside. Okay. It is left to you. So if I take sigma 1 outside, it is sigma 2 A2 divided by A1. However you want, you can change it. Okay. Now, so I'll show you the same equations here. Let me explain this once again. Okay. See, in this particular figure, free expansion, please understand the first sentence. Free expansion in bar 1 is alpha 1 delta TL. Correct? Similarly, free expansion in bar 2 is alpha 2 delta TL. See, you can take either T or delta T. It is left to you. Now, since both the bars expand by delta L, because delta L1, delta L2, we said that both the bars will expand by same amount. So, for that, we have the following conditions. Bar 1 delta L is less than alpha 1 delta TL. For bar 2 delta L is greater than alpha 2 delta TL. Okay, I'll show you the slide once again. See, for bar 1, okay, this is your delta. Just please see the dimensions properly. For material 1, this is your DL1. For material 2, this is your DL2. So what I said is, for material 1, alpha 1 TL is greater than DL1. Correct? Whereas for material 2, alpha 2 TL is less than DL2. Okay, that's what the meaning is. Now that's what I have written it here. Now, with this, okay, see, we know the concept of strain. What is strain? Strain is change in length divided by original length. Correct? Change in length divided by original length. So in both the figures, material 1 and material 2, okay, can I write compressive strain in bar 1, that is E1, because strain is designated as epsilon 1. Correct? So compressive strain in bar 1 is equal to, or E1 is equal to, change in length divided by original length. What is change in length? Observe the figure carefully. What is change in length in bar 1? Alpha 1 TL minus DL1. Is my answer correct? Yes?
Yes,
Alpha
ma'am.
1, right. Alpha 1 TL minus DL1. So this I have used it here. Alpha 1 TL minus DL whole divided by L. Why? Because original length. Because strain is change in length divided by original length. Now similarly, tensile strain in bar 2. Second bar. Okay. In second bar, see, I said that delta L is greater than alpha 2 TL. Right? So delta L is greater means, see, whichever is greater, you can take it in, you can take it first. So dl2 is greater than alpha 2l. So what is change in length now? dl2 minus alpha 2 tl. dl2 minus alpha 2 tl. So that's what I have written here. In bar 2, delta l minus alpha 2 tl whole divided by original length, that is l. So whichever is greater, that you are supposed to take first. Okay. Next. So once you have calculated strain in bar 1 and bar 2, add the strains. Okay. Add the strain in both the material. E1 epsilon 1 plus epsilon 2 is equal to whatever the formula I have got it here. Take it here. Okay. And observe carefully. Just common parameters you can take it outside. Which is common here? Capital L, denominator capital L is common, take it outside. And similarly in both the equations, numerator L is also common, right? So take it outside. So L will get cancelled here, right? So mathematically, if you take L and L in numerator and denominator outside, it will get cancelled. So what remained is ultimately alpha 1 minus alpha 2 delta T. Correct? So this is very important concept. When you add the strains E1 plus E2, you will get it as alpha 1 minus alpha 2 delta T. Okay. Of course, derivation is not, you don't need to solve these derivations and all. You just need to remember the formula. This formula, you should use it in your numerical example. Okay. So next. Once if you have understood this E1 plus E2 is equal to alpha 1 minus alpha 2 into delta T, in a similar fashion, okay, so when you can write strain, you can even write for stress. What is E1? E1 is nothing but strain in 1. So how do you define strain in terms of stress? Anybody? How do you define strain in terms of stress? Yes, anybody?
Strain is equal to stress by
Young's
Young's
modulus,
modulus.
ma'am.
Very correct. Yes, very correct. Absolutely correct, right? So strain is equal to stress divided by Young's modulus. Now, I have used the same thing here. Observe my next equation. E1 plus E2, okay, LHS. What did I write? E1 is nothing but sigma 1 by E1. E2 is nothing but sigma 2 by E2, right? Which is equal to, this remains same, alpha 1 minus alpha 2 delta T. So this is my final equation I should remember in all my problems. Okay, just remember this formula. Sigma 1 by E1 plus sigma 2 by E2 is equal to alpha 1 minus alpha 2 delta T. Right? See, in some of the equations, maybe that alpha 1 is smaller compared to alpha 2. Then what you will do? Alpha 2 minus alpha 1. Don't take any negative signs here. Suppose in your numerical example, if alpha 1 is greater than alpha 2, take it as alpha 1 minus alpha 2. If suppose second material alpha 2 is greater than alpha 1, then take it as alpha 2 minus alpha 1. Whichever is given, that you are supposed to take. So that means now we have two equations. From these two equations, I can solve the numerical example on the composite bar subjected to temperature stress. Which are the two equations? Concentrate on the two equations now. Sigma 1 by E1 plus sigma 2 by E2 is equal to alpha 1 minus alpha 2 delta T. This is equation 1. Similarly, you have another equation, sigma 1 A1 is equal to sigma 2 A2. Is this understood to everyone? Just remember these two formulas. I'll be using it in the numerical examples. Okay. And another thing, in some of the textbooks, okay, in few textbooks, do not get confused by textbook procedures. Never get confused by textbook procedures or any reference book procedures. Just solve by your own method and then you can compare the answer. Why? Because if you refer some other textbooks or reference books, instead of taking sigma 1, he'll take it as P1 upon A1. Instead of taking sigma 1, he'll take it as P1 upon A1. Is there anything wrong? Anybody? Instead of taking sigma
No,
1,
ma'am.
he'll take it as P1 upon A1. Is there anything wrong?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Exactly. There is nothing wrong. Instead of taking sigma, he has taken it in terms of load. Either you can take it in terms of load by area or sigma. Answer remains same. So never get confused with the procedure. Always concentrate on the answers. Okay. So I hope you have understood this procedure. Now let us take numerical example. My first numerical example on composite stresses subjected to temperature stress. Okay. So as I said, the procedure, you all know the procedure now. What's the procedure? Whenever you read the question, start taking the given condition. Start writing the given condition. That's how it will help you. Okay. So a steel flat of 20 mm by 10 mm is fixed with aluminium flat of 20 mm by 10 mm. Okay. Now you have two bars. First bar is 20, it's a rectangular section. First bar is 20 mm by 10 mm, second bar is 20 mm by 10 mm, right? So both the same cross-sectional area. So as to make a square section of 20 mm by 20 mm. So overall it is 20 by 20 now. Okay, now the two bars are fastened together at their ends at the temperature of 26 degrees Celsius. Two bars are fastened in the sense they are held in position. Okay. If suppose if you want to make two plates rigid or they should not move, then what will you do? Either you will do some bolting or you will do some welding connection, right? So that's why riveted in the sense fastened or riveted, one and the same, right? So now, the temperature of whole assembly is raised by 55 degrees Celsius, right? See, initial temperature is 26, final temperature is 55. So, T2 minus T1 will give you change in temperature. Next, find the stresses in each bar. So, he has asked you to calculate the stresses in each bar. Okay. For this purpose, he has given you Young's modulus in steel and aluminium, convert in Newton per mm square. And also, he has given you alpha S and alpha A. Now remember one thing, first draw the diagram for this. Okay, after drawing the diagram, whichever you want, the first element, see in this case steel flat is fixed to aluminium plate, means take steel as 1 and aluminium as 2. Okay, so in this case now instead of taking alpha 1 for steel, I'm taking it as alpha S, in the sense coefficient of linear expansion for steel. So alpha S is 11.6 into 10 raised to minus 6 per degree Celsius. Similarly alpha A. So this is a given condition to you all. Now let's start writing the solution for this. Net temperature, see the solution, net temperature, that is delta T, T2 minus T1. This is very clearly understood. Next, we need area, right? To calculate the stresses and all, we need area. So area for steel is equal to area for aluminium. Why? Because both the bars are of same section.